Yes, y'all. Going live right here. Live and direct. Thank you as we process through some technical opportunities here at the beginning of the stream. We're so excited to get this going. Hope you're enjoying the music as well. Let's get a quick mic check over here. Looks like I have some levels. There we go. All right. Had a little short in my headphones. All kinds of stuff. Okay, I think we're good to go now. I want to welcome everybody out there who's able to tune in to us on our inaugural broadcast of Time Shift. My name is Makua. Happy to be here with you. My brother Ruben out there, can you hear me?
Checking 1 2 1 2 checking. Can you hear me?
Right. Yep.
Perfect.
Got you loud and clear coming through. Perfect.
I see a little flickering on the stream. Is
Yeah,
that
it's okay. It's okay.
okay?
We're gonna get that little glitch. That helps keep us in check with what we're
Yeah.
ready to talk about. But we certainly are happy to have the opportunity to come together in this way and to present a new era for us in terms of sharing this type of information out with the listening audience globally. To be able to bring video into this now and some other creative perspective, I think is quite an exciting opportunity. So we've been working in this way for the past couple of years together.
Yeah.
This is just part of the evolution of our mission here to help transform consciousness through changing the calendar.
Yeah.
Time shift. There we go. But I just want to take a moment really and take a deep breath. Because we've been doing so much preparation, sometimes we move so much, and it's good when we're together, even if virtually like this, just to take a moment and give thanks, acknowledge and share in this time space together. So I know we are getting a little bit of a glitch through the visuals here. I don't know how that's translating over to the live stream or the recording afterward, but we'll see. But in any case, we're excited to venture into this new realm of how to ground this information for ourselves, for our loved ones, for people worldwide who are interested in real transformation, really being a part of this shift in consciousness. And so many people are, I would say, emerging in their purpose more and more.
Yes.
And so it's been really amazing to bear witness to this over the years as we've kind of been pushing the conversation, prior to 2012, even before the shift into the millennium, You know, a lot of people in their own various ways have been seeking truth, seeking transformation, and really showing up. And you know, it's with the advent of social media now and
Hmm.
people's ability to communicate in real time, even more than ever before. It really becomes amazing to witness
Hmm.
and
Absolutely.
to witness
Hmm.
this, and we have a mission and a purpose to amplify the creative perspectives of this time. I think
Hmm.
that's really our mission with this
Hmm.
platform, and generally the mission of our work, I would say, is to really amplify creativity and harmony ultimately,
Totally.
and
Yeah.
really put a spotlight on that, because we obviously know there's a lot of information, a lot of news that in many cases is very depressing,
Hmm.
to say the least.
Hmm.
And we want this to be a platform for encouragement and for people to really be able to draw from this experience with us as a shared experience, information, inspiration that they can take into their life, into their own work, and get into greater synchronicity, get into greater harmony
Hmm.
in that way. And come on the platform as well, and join us. Come on a Zoom interview with us, and share your gifts and talents,
Hmm.
because we want to collaborate in this new time and these creative solutions and possibilities.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, what's on your heart?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for all the hard work in putting this together. Especially today is a very special day for so many reasons. It's your solar return, so I want to honor that, and I want to make also like a special pause to give thanks for everything that has happened to bring us to this point that we can do this broadcast with all the glitches and all the challenges, and but we are doing it from our highest heart, and that's kind of what is driving us to keep pushing the envelope and coming up with new ideas that can engage the minds and the hearts of many people around the world who as we have seen during these last 2 years, we have been able to touch people's lives, and that gives us sense of uh, gratitude and perspective of coming to this point that we can do this live stream and bring the knowledge of the new time and the understanding and the perspective of a new paradigm that opens up with this new knowledge and bring it to the people, yeah, and make this space a playful space for art and play, and also to a place of sharing ideas that can drive the planetary evolutionary course to a harmonic destination, and that's what this whole work that we have been doing for the last 2 years, but yeah, maybe longer since we were involved with this information, and give it to the people so that we can keep evolving the knowledge and keep really adding new layers and new ways of understanding the influence of uh, harmony in, in our minds is related to the calendar that we use, and that's something that in itself it's a big mission because it's a shifting consciousness, but that's why we decided to put this name to the show. I think time shift really encapsulates the times that we are living. We are living in very volatile times, so it's just, there are times of shifts, so this is basically a calling and a product of that wave of the need for new ideas, new spaces, new paradigms, and what better time to do this than this moon of manifestation to bring it forward to the people. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, man, you're very welcome. Thank you, in fact,
Mm.
for all the service and commitment and focus into this, because it's not a lot of us out here, though we obviously are doing this to help increase and raise awareness. It's not a lot of us out here attempting to carry this work. But those who are certainly dialed in and committed deeply. And so your example is greatly appreciated. And there are many more of us out here, even though there's not a whole lot of us. There are very committed people who've been on this path in a way to help amplify this information for years. And we've, in many cases, committed years of our lives to seeing this come to greater fruition. Though often it's like pushing a boulder uphill, because there is an inordinate amount of information that people are constantly being impacted by. How do we find a way to reach the heart of people in this time? And tune in intuitively to what it is people are actually seeking, because there's a lot of complexity out here in the world. There's a lot of distraction even, and yet there are some simple things that we can begin to do, simple adjustments that I think can help increase the experience personally of greater well-being, and it really does engage the mind in the way that consciousness is affected by calendars.
Yes.
So, anybody who does know us, at least on some level, understands that we are focused on helping promote a 13-month, 28-day solution as a calendar alternative to the artificial timing scenario presented now for well over 400 years by the Gregorian calendar in combination with the tick-tock clock. So in the law of time, that's referred to as a 1260 frequency. And in this exploration together, we'll get deeper into that as we proceed through more future broadcasts. We'll get into some of the, the complicated or rather technical information. But I think today it's really about tone setting. And we want to set the tone with the awareness of this arc of consciousness, essentially, that the work we've been involved in helping continue is a part of an arc of consciousness. And so I know that we want to speak to the banner of peace and the role that symbol that people can see right there behind you, and speak to that symbol and get into some of the importance of what that symbol means to this movement and to this effort. That's now, frankly, our effort really has been ongoing for the past couple of years, but we absolutely acknowledge those who've preceded us in this work. And they, in particular, were ones who adopted that particular symbol. So we want to get into some of that today to share with folks. And I'm going to possibly see if I can try to fix something around this glitch with the camera. It seems like it's a little touch and go when we're using some of the software services here online. But it appears we do have a strong connection, so that's good. I know the glitch is a little bit of a distraction, so I hope that people do bear with that. And I'll do my part to move through potentially some other images as well, but we can continue the conversation while we figure out the technical issue there.
Yeah. And so, maybe when you shift the screen mode, maybe when you go full screen, the glitch disappears. We will see.
Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, I've been flying in the time shift image as well a couple of times, but nevertheless, we're here, we're live, we are going to do whatever we can to share this regardless. And we've kind of come up with a funny hashtag in the past, ditch the glitch. And right now we're going to experience our little glitch. Technically, of course, that has to happen for whatever reason. So we'll let people focus on this beautiful artwork that you've done that's currently going to pose on the screen here. You'll see it in a moment. There's a little bit of a delay with the stream and what we're doing live, but that's to be expected. So momentarily, people will see that image take the screen, and we should be good to go for a moment. And we'll try to work this out on the other end. But nevertheless, we just appreciate people tuning into this and sharing this, and please like our page. We really appreciate you if you go in and just like our Calendar Truth channel here in YouTube, and also come visit us on Instagram at Calendar Truth, as well as Facebook, facebook.com/Calendar Truth. We're not hard to find.
Yeah, and I think that is,
try to make it simple.
We can use the that I receive an a little message that the connection was unstable.
Yeah. We appreciate the message. The connection is probably a little unstable.
Yeah, because right now I cannot see the stream on YouTube.
Right now, what do you see? You see you don't see anything?
I see the image of time shift.
Yeah. It says that we are having a bad stream status, variable resolution stream. All right, but we're still live. I think we just have to, I don't know, bear it, because you know what to do. I think we're getting a couple of, we have some subscriptions coming in. That's nice. Some followers. That's awesome. I have friends out there who are generous enough with their time to tune in and see what we're up to, and have always been supportive. So I think we should go ahead and move into the conversation a little bit, though. I'd love to invite you. Let me check the signal strength here. Still bad. And yet at the same time, we're still live. So I don't necessarily think we should stop the stream. I think we should probably keep it going.
Okay, as far as you know that we are live.
I have friends out there who are, we're still streaming, and it's still picking up the audio. So we'll continue. We'll just hold this image for a moment, but I do want to go through the visuals. Maybe we can show the keynote and begin to move through that. Does that make sense?
It's if I cannot see anything here on my end. I can see that we are live, but I can only see the front slide.
Yeah, no worries. So what I'll do is I'll post the keynote up, but just know that there's going to be a delay between what you see on the screen and what I'm actually moving through. It may be better if live time you go through, you open on your end as well. From your keynote, open the actual thing. And so we'll see it at the same time, and you can move it accordingly. And you just tell me when to turn the page, and I'll do it live for our viewers over here.
How do you know? Does it tell you how long of a delay do we have?
I would say the delay. I mean, the thing is, it's going to pick up at whatever speed we're moving at, and then the delay will, it won't be seen as a delay to the public viewer necessarily.
Okay. Well, we can try. Just that, of course, because of the timing of the presentation, it's going to be a little difficult for me to guess the timing when is the next one because of the delay. But because we can do it like a conversation. Like if you are okay, because
sure.
I still cannot see anything on my end. So I prefer, to and this is a good opportunity also to make conscious that we are shifting. This is a part of shifting from a technological society to a paradigm, to a new paradigm that is based on mental and spiritual values. Where we are moving out from the materialistic paradigm into the technology into a different paradigm that is more elevated. And the idea is that we use this show as a platform to perceive the events that are happening right now, the tensions that are happening in the world between East and West, and see that from this higher perspective, which is the lens of the synchronic order and the law of time. So why did we decided to make this show today? It was because tomorrow we complete 84 years from the start of also a new idea, which was to bring peace through culture through that symbol that we see in the background. And
yes. And the symbol's now also on the screen. If you can see your monitor over there, you should see it on the screen.
Well, it's I see it in the background, but I don't see it live because
you don't see it live yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I can see it.
Should be live. There's a little bit of a delay, but that's all right.
Yeah.
So
this symbol was created exactly on a day like tomorrow, was presented to the world 84 years ago. And this is an important milestone for us because we are tracking this harmonic of 28, and the 84 years is we are completing 3 cycles of 28 years. That means that the Gregorian calendar from 1935 is exactly the same as the Gregorian calendar of 2019. And since the calendar is a program that programs civilizations and society with the daily customs and program us to go on holidays, to celebrate certain holidays, certain days. For instance, we are starting tomorrow, we call it here the Holy Week or Easter week. And this is also an important marker for the calendar because all calendars are rooted into the date of Easter. So the purpose of this broadcast is to present the banner as again, after 3 cycles of 28 years, as a symbol that can bring us back to a planetary culture of peace. And because we are so used to, by the media, to experience a culture of war, this symbol it brings us back to an idea of bringing a culture of peace that was implanted in the collective consciousness.
Right. Where there is culture,
years ago.
Where there is culture, there is peace. Where there is peace, there is culture.
Absolutely.
Just like we see on the screen.
Yeah, so it was the artist Nicolas Roerich who, and his wife Elena, first came with the idea of creating a symbol that will serve as a shield to protect the cultural patrimony of the earth. It was called the Red Cross of Culture. So this symbol was supposed to be used in times of war to protect the cultural patrimony of humanity, and that has been expanded during the last years to protect this not only the cultural but the spiritual values of humanity. And when we speak about a planetary culture of peace, we need to elevate our minds and see ourselves from the distance and see that there is no borders and no divisions between humanity. We are one being. And this consciousness of unity is enshrined in this symbol because it also brings the 3 spheres has a multidimensional expression of this reality because they express the union of art, science, and spirituality, the earth, man, and cosmos, these 3 levels of consciousness. And past, present, and future. So the symbol was launched in 1935 in Washington, D.C. as part of a campaign to bring not only this consciousness to the Americas, because the first countries that signed this treaty into being were the 22 countries of the Americas, but also to expand to the entire world and have this planetary consciousness of peace. Unfortunately, after Second World War, we know that we have been shifting from that vision to a different vision that is based in conflict and war. So the purpose of this show is to create a timeline or a space for this information to be reborn. And that's why we adopted the symbol, and the symbol was also adopted by the 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement by Jose and Loidín Argüelles in the 90s to bring this idea to the world again. So they follow the steps of Nicolas and Elena Roerich. And
let's take a moment to point out to people this is still international law today.
Yes,
I think we should emphasize that, because we're not necessarily bringing or bearing a symbol that is not activated. It's actually still a binding treaty today, though largely forgotten and neglected, clearly. But nevertheless, this is still international law currently.
So tomorrow we are celebrating 84 years, and in 2012 this day, April 15, was also designated as International Art Day. So since we approach the subject of time and consciousness as from the perspective that time is art, and that everything that we invest our time and energy is a work of art, this is the perfect timing to put this idea out to the people, to really contemplate a future that is driven by a culture of peace, and instead of this unconscious culture of war that is embedded in all the popular culture, in movies, games, and all the toys that the kids have the access to play with today. So the purpose of bringing the symbol back is to also understand that what we are doing is just a continuation of the work that other people like Nicolas and Elena Roerich proposed, and that Jose and Loidín Argüelles continued, and that now after 2012, when we've closed a really important cycle of history from the perspective of the Mayan time science, that we are basically creating a new paradigm, or a new evolutionary, we are into a new evolutionary cycle. And this new evolutionary cycle has, like we said in the beginning, is based on mental and spiritual values that are more elevated than just the material values. So we tend to perceive peace as the prevention of violence, but we don't perceive peace as harmony and as mental peace, as a peace of mind. So the idea of going through this timeline is just to remember that the symbol has been around for the entire 20th century and part of the 21st century, and that we have a responsibility of keeping it alive. And since you are broadcasting from Washington, D.C., we are really bringing this element, the historic element, to consciousness today, because of the need to find an alternative to the scenarios that are being shown to us today. And the continuity of this work is, as we can see in the timeline, the banner in the year 2000 was officially adopted by the 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement to create a new wave of interest into not only the banner, but the principles that the banner upholds. And it's a revolutionary concept of bringing peace through culture and through art. So each year we have an opportunity to, on Day Out of Time, to celebrate peace through culture, and the purpose of the Calendar Referendum Initiative is that the Day Out of Time of next year, we have a really important point on the timeline, for many reasons that we will not go into detail into the show, but that the event horizon of 2020, it's a really important milestone for humanity, because not only we are completing the first 20 years of this century, but we are also setting in motion what is going to happen for the next 20 years. And we have been very, very observant that in the same way that this idea was presented 20 years ago, again in 1999, at the first summit of Peace and Time in Costa Rica, that this is a really important milestone, these 20 years that we are entering right now, to be able to bring back the elements and the tools that we need to make this shift very different than what we have been presented. So there is always a higher order and a hidden order that if we get in tune with, we just start to manifest the future that we want to create. And that's the reason we launched the Calendar Referendum Initiative in 2016, was to come to this point and really promote the idea to a larger audience, to the people who are going to see the broadcast today or in the future, because we are basically re-anchoring again an idea that has been presented with these harmonic intervals before, and that right now it's time for it to flourish again. And we have the opportunity to really introduce a new perspective of world peace, based in a tool that has been highly overlooked. We also speak about the untried solution, that we have not tried this solution before.
Hashtag untried solution. I want to jump in there and speak to the element of this that really puts in perspective the shift that we're going through, the transition that we're going through as a planet. I mean, I'm sure people out here who are listening to this, having their life experience, life itself is full of challenges. We can just say that. That's something, that's a common and universal experience, that life can be challenging. What we don't necessarily know, because we've been made to be asleep to it for the most part, is that there's a level of transformation happening that's impacting the consciousness of the earth. And so because we've reached such a heightened state of crisis as a biosphere, a circle of life, that this is one thing that is in effect triggering a shift for us to emerge from a far greater interconnected consciousness. And that's kind of what we're experiencing now. It is a healing crisis, and it is at the same time healing a crisis. So we are, as it says here on the slide, the biosphere-noosphere transition marks the point when the consciousness of the planet goes from the cosmic unconscious to the cosmic conscious. This transition is the passage from a time of materialism to a new time where mental, spiritual values are paramount. That's a Jose Arguelles quote. And you were mentioning that, to that effect, essentially, that we are moving from this period where we've been immersed in sort of abject materialism
mm,
as the rule, as the standard, and yet we see through the entropy, the decay, the discord that has reached such a height that
mm,
we can't possibly move forward with that greater entropy as the way we're operating. And
yeah,
so the advent of a calendar change has come along to help support the transition by helping transition our minds
mm,
out of the desynchronous nature of timekeeping that the Gregorian calendar has set up,
mm,
and actually restoring and returning to the inherent biological harmonic of 13 months, 28 days as a new harmonic standard.
mm,
A new standard, even though it's been the frequency of timing inherent to our human biology all along. We've just been unconscious to it to a
mm,
great degree, and that primarily is because the fiction, if you will, or the drama has been so enormous and intense
mm,
that we haven't wanted to be aware, frankly,
yeah,
you know. But this is what's happening at this time, and I think that this particular card depicts it beautifully. But that the
mm,
biospheric crisis is that modern human civilization sets apart from the rest of its environment, which is the
mm,
biosphere,
mm,
catalyzing a planetary crisis as part of an evolutionary process. Now,
mm,
there's a lot in that statement,
mm,
because we have to, on some level, take a step back and recognize that the conflict and that the entropy and that the decay is actually catalyzing or triggering the shift.
mm,
So we don't necessarily know that if we didn't have that catalyst, if we'd make the shift. And I
mm,
simply say that to say that it doesn't necessarily mean we should be more destructive or base materialist as far as a mind state. But it is to say that because of our destructive and violent capacities,
mm,
we have caused or triggered this shift for the
mm,
planet to actually become aware of itself. So the transition is from the biosphere to the noosphere, or the thinking layer, the conscious layer of Earth, the one
mm,
mind of Earth, as we see on the right side of this illustration, the one mind of Earth. Humanity
mm,
becomes one organism with the planet to enter into a new evolutionary phase,
mm,
securing itself a place as a new member of the galactic community. That also
mm,
says a lot.
mm,
Uh, and the fact that the calendar has been the dominant operational system for well over 400 years.
mm,
This has been the system that was issued and basically rolled out by the Catholic Church, specifically to help dominate, we'll say,
mm,
probably a light way of saying it, but to dominate and subject the majority of the world's people, or as many people as they possibly could,
mm,
to assure the ubiquitous presence of the Catholic domain all
mm,
over the world. And part and parcel of that was the calendar that became a tool for organizing and setting into motion the cycles of observance that the Catholic Church would promote as the new standard of the time, the
mm,
standard for the so-called New World 400 plus years ago. Now we know where we are now, we as a species, in relationship with the planet that's becoming aware and conscious of itself, we know enough now to know that things that have been done before have had unintended consequences. And
mm,
maybe the fact that they weren't necessarily unintended or intended, but that there was ignorance to the, or a disregard for what would be the outcome of certain decisions hundreds of years ago.
yeah,
So we're now dealing with a period where we're at this point of transition from the enormous pressure that's resulted from us kind of, in a way, disconnecting from natural consciousness, natural
mm,
cycles, as a planetary culture. Better said, as society on a planet.
mm,
you know, because society has set up its own mores and its codes, its conduct, etc., that the majority of the world's people have been made to follow. So where religion wasn't able to dominate, business was. And so the calendar for the domination of the, shall we say, the spread of Catholicism and the colonization of the majority of the planet, where that was no longer necessarily something led by religious fervor, it became something that at that point became so entrenched in materialism due to the industrial era and all these things. And we have to, again, we have to look at the past, the present, to know the future. We have to look at these things as a scope, as a timeline, because we didn't get where we are today by happenstance. It didn't just happen. We got where we are today because certain decisions were made and certain codes were institutionalized and enforced. That's what we're dealing with now. And so we see the scenarios unfolding, the hyperviolence and the discord is a result of decades and centuries of an ignorance to the greater interrelationship of all life. Now, when we speak to the fact that indigenous cultures the world over have long held an awareness of how to live in sync with nature, how to live in tune and in harmony, it wasn't to say that there weren't conflicts among communities or even violent conflicts in some cases, but it never became such an egregious disregard of human life as we've seen played out over the past nearly 500 years or more. And there are so many different examples we could cite. We don't need to really go down that road. People know. And that's something I was telling somebody earlier today, is the things that have been done in the dark have come to light now. We're in that window of a dawning consciousness, an awareness, an illumination of sorts, where people are actually now more collectively and individually aware of what has happened and what is even occurring right now. Because we live in an information age, these things can't be hidden from people. And so fortunately for the platforms of communication, like we said, we use these as tools to help us shift out of a material orientation. I mean, obviously it's a double-edged sword because they're material tools, right? But the consciousness we apply to them will impact how we're able to use them so that they're not using us.
Yes, especially now.
Especially now. So I want to just read this quote: Advent of the noosphere, dawn of a new humanity. I am one with the earth and myself are one mind. That statement right there is it's the manifesto of the noosphere. That's that quote, I am one with the earth and myself are one mind. That simple statement sums up essentially the purpose of this work. Quite honestly. And what we're doing is, we as a human species, as a collective that is awakening, we are becoming very conscious to that relationship and responsibility we have with this planet at this time. Any such cosmic civilization that follows the ending of the cycle in 2012 will and must be in the nature of a regenerative redemption, the fulfillment of a promise of all those who have labored on behalf of the highest ideals for humanity, universal love, cooperation, harmony, and the flowering of the highest forms of culture. As the manifestation on an entirely elevated and unified state of or plane of consciousness, the noosphere, such a civilization will be entirely different than that which exists today. Now, that's profound in terms of a statement being applied to any cosmic civilization that follows the ending of the cycle. People, unfortunately have some misinformed perceptions on what the end of the Mayan calendar meant and what that presented. But really, if anything, it was a reset button
Yeah.
that things were met to the completion of a certain cycle and then gave way to the beginning of a new cycle. It wasn't a matter of annihilation or the abject end of something, but actually the emergent beginning of something new and different, entirely different than what exists today.
Yeah.
And I think that's important that we emphasize that.
Yeah, and we can also make the difference between there is a transition between evolutionary stages, and from becoming conscious of being one living organism to the actual realization of that. It's a process, and we entered basically that process in December 21st, 2012. When an evolutionary cycle ended and a new started. So we are seeing this shift of playing out for the last 7 years, since 2012, 2019. And now we really are able to understand or have more perspective from that shift, so that we can see it in retrospective and understand the stages that this shift is taking place on our own end. Just putting this idea out again and resurrecting it. We have been going through a process that we are not really entirely sure, but that we are following, because it's basically dictated by a new paradigm or a new program that is this universal mind. And like we were saying before, the material values are going to be replaced by spiritual and mental values, and the artificial technologies are going to be replaced by new social technologies. The calendar is a new social technology, basically, that we have not tried yet.
Well, the untried solution. That's right.
And yeah, the time shift. When Jose Arguelles coined the word time shift to understand this distinction of shifting our frequency or our brains to tuning into a natural frequency of cycles. And once we have the practice of shifting our time every day for planning our lives, we are also shifting our minds.
Okay.
So the time shift precedes the mind shift. And we are in that mind shift basically since we crossed the event horizon of 2012, and this is the manifestation of the noosphere in real time. That's what all the ancients saw as the golden age. We are starting to see the light, but it's been a little bit different than what most of us thought. So we have the tools to tune into this new way of being by adopting a new calendar, and the concept of peace and harmony are basically related to our peace of mind. And if our mind is entrained with the cycles of nature, our body gets entrained with cycles of nature, and we create like a stronger field, a planetary field. And that's why the call during this planetary moon of manifestation and this completion of cycles for the banner of peace, for the International Art Day, are basically letting us know that that humanity is ready for this shift, that we just need to keep refreshing these ideas that has been presented in the past, so that they can gain a new life and become what they were envisioned to become. Because these are the quote that you just read, the highest aspirations of humanity represented in culture.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's a it's not only an energetic and consciousness transformation, it's literally on a planetary scale, even galactic. I mean, when we speak of the word galactic, I know that word is probably different for some. We don't usually talk in those terms, but we do live in a galaxy. So if we just expand the awareness we have to include the fact that we live in a galaxy, to think in a galactic sense becomes far more easy to do, because galactic indicates that there is something greater than our immediate selves, that there's a community of consciousness that we are interrelated with, whether we're conscious to it or not. And that's part of the difference. It's been there, it is there, and it remains there now. We're becoming awake and more aware of this, not only us, but also the planet. And so as we're looking at what's happening with the planet in its own processes, how it's being impacted by solar flare radiation, for example, and what impact that has on us as organic beings on the planet being impacted by increasing solar radiation. These things take an effect. They have an effect on us. Now, observing the mathematics, observing numbers like 7, 13, 20, 28, 26, 52, all of these numbers have meaning. They are not only identifying quantitative aspects, but also qualitative. And beginning to learn and tune into the language of numbers is very helpful for a person interested in getting into how to utilize the 13-moon calendar, for example. People can certainly visit 13months28days.info. We invite people to go to the website. We have a lot of great materials there. We even have some materials available for free download. We really encourage you to get the PDF of the transitional current year calendar, 2018-2019. But, you know, in this broadcast and with artists that we will host in the future and other thought leaders and people doing really amazing regenerative things, as Jose mentioned, that part of that future has to be a focus on the regenerative aspects. Like we definitely want to promote that and move in that way, and that's absolutely something we're committed to. So you've mentioned some really interesting things in terms of timing. We've talked today about the fact that here we are 84 years tomorrow to the date, literally to the date, because as you also mentioned, the Gregorian calendar operates on its own 28-year cycle.
Yes, yeah.
And then we're looking tomorrow at being 28 years times 3, 84 years since the signing of the Roerich Peace Pact.
Yes.
In Washington, D.C. by President Roosevelt, and attended by and you know, the signing attended by luminaries of that time, you know, leaders and people in business and governance and the like, but then also signed and acknowledged by other nations throughout Latin America, which is very important, including Cuba. So including Cuba, very important to point that out. So what we are hoping that we're doing in hosting this platform is helping make the past, the present, and the future conscious. Because we need to know what's happened to sort of get us in the scenario we find ourselves in currently. And if we don't address the issues and the impacts of the calendar, we're missing the mark in some ways. And I think that that's important to point out for folks as we you know, continue to promote this time shift. You know, and I want to point out, just as a beautiful graphic for people to see the difference with the calendars side by side. You know, they know, you know, people get impacted, but when they see this image, because it's so evident then when you see the image of what it looks like to transition. I had the image up on the screen.
But I make sure that it shows entirely, because I don't know if there's a glitch in the screen that it's...
No. It's just that it's Keynote and it's got to be full screen. So it's, you know, it's just a It's just a problem. So, but nevertheless, I mean, I'll pop it up on the screen for people to see right now, so we can look at it full screen. But I think it's helpful to speak about it a moment, because this particular image, I could just play it. That might be helpful. I don't know if it's at the beginning or the end. There we go. Okay, so this image here, it's a basic illustration that helps clarify the artificial time matrix, your irregular Gregorian calendar, whose features are disharmony and entropy. I mean, we can argue that, but if we look at the state of things on the planet, after 430 some odd years of using this calendar, are we any closer to peace?
Yeah.
No, we're not. And so that's why the untried solution is being promoted, being presented, being encouraged. And those of us who've carried on with that effort, even though the 13 moon calendar change peace movement it does not exist anymore, it absolutely set in motion the work we're doing today. So for the window that operated nearly 20 years ago, from the year 2000 to 2004, that was the window that was supposed to happen. Now, granted, the goal may have been to completely do away with the Gregorian calendar. We're not necessarily saying that that's the focus of this mission, because we do realize now in this day and time, some 20 years later, that it's really a personal choice. Each of us are reaching a choice point. If we want to foster more harmony in our lives, we owe it to ourselves to change our calendar. Who owns your time? Whoever owns your time also owns your mind. Now, we have to come to terms with the fact that the big elephant in the room, so to speak, is the calendar, because it's the one thing that goes unchecked, most notably in any case. But then when people stop to think about it, they know that the unevenness of it causes a disruption in flow states. So there's a lot of information and knowledge out here about flow states, but when we look at this illustration on the left, we can understand flow states get interrupted, the erratic patterning of this, and the fact that it does take 28 years for it to even line up is kind of an interesting hidden synchronicity inside of the Gregorian calendar.
Yeah.
That it would line up on a 28-year cycle, because, again, of the meaning of numbers.
Yes.
How qualitative aspects of numbers. However, we also understand that as that's an interesting synchronicity, there are better ways to track time in our personal lives. And the example on the right provides us with a visual observation of a harmonic standard, 28 days each month. Moon and month are really the same word, plus 1 day out of time, as you've referred to a couple of times. That's the day where the banner of peace is amplified on the planet, where we celebrate global peace through culture, and we recognize the planet is a sacred work of art to which we are all contributing artists. It's our greatest collaborative effort as creative beings to be in conscious attunement with the planet, and to celebrate that as an annual observation of global peace through culture. That's an amazing evolution in terms of cosmic civilization, in terms of timekeeping for now and the future. And it's completely distinct from the calendar of business as usual, time as money, the extractive industries that have impaled and harmed not only the physical earth, but then also all of us as a result. It's a destructive relationship that's been perpetuated through that timing and operational system. So we are absolutely encouraging people to make the personal transition, to support them to be able to do just that. Then we are also, let me figure out how to get out of here. We are also very interested to share with people that they can go on our website. And a couple of things. We want to encourage people on our website to find the transitional calendar that we have available. for free download. So we do encourage people to go to our website, 13months28days.info/free calendar, and get the calendar for sure. That's free for you to download and enjoy and share with all your loved ones. It really is a beautiful, elegant presentation of that harmonic standard we just saw moments ago. And if people get a chance to check that out, I think they'll really find it very useful. Each month is coded with its own energy because, again, these numbers are communicating qualities. And we recognize that the 13 months are also tracking a creative process. So when we begin to entrain or connect our consciousness to these creative cycles, the results are beautiful. And they're very personal. It's like you can share with people and promote to people the benefits of meditation, but there's nothing better for one themselves than to meditate. So similarly with the calendar, we are excited to share this with people because we recognize it to be the untried solution until you try it for yourself, and then it really becomes an active, living solution in your own life for reaching harmony in your own day-to-day experience. And by tuning into nature, the communication that begins to happen, where telepathy is a natural state, becomes undeniable. It becomes undeniable. We also want to encourage people to visit our petition online. Also, we have a change.org petition. You'll find a link for the petition on the top of our website in any case. So we encourage people to go to any of our resources online to find these items. And we do request for folks to go to our Calendar Referendum 2020 and Declaration of Universal World Peace to sign the petition. It doesn't take but a few moments. You can read the context and get some ideas to the impetus behind this. We do have a stated goal of reaching 144,000 people between now and the beginning of the new 13 moon year. So that's a goal, and I think we can do it. Well, let me say this. Not the new 13 moon year this year. The new 13 moon year next year, just to be clear. Okay. So we have a little over a year to reach those signatures. But I do have a feeling the better we get adept with the technology here to use it as a bridge to getting this information out to people, we're going to see the numbers rise. But we certainly ask people out there, if it's no trouble, just click, share, spread information out there to your people about this information and ways that they can get involved. We want to certainly encourage people to visit our online resources, check us out, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. We also would certainly appreciate if you can come through and like our Facebook page, CalendarTRUTH, on Instagram as well as Facebook. We certainly invite you to do that. Please follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, etc., etc. We really appreciate the support in that regard. And yeah, we're out here, and it looks like we do have a couple of folks that jumped in on our chat, which is awesome. Oh, that's cool. This is fun. We're in it. Audio, no video. Okay. Mahalo nui loa, Alex. Yeah, mahalo. How will you make this happen? William Crockett. All right, William, great question. We are making this happen by sharing information with people, and it's really the people who will make this happen. Let's put it like this. What I think distinguishes our effort, we're kind of level set a bit in some of the complexity, maybe we'll say. I don't want to say we're level set in the reality, because the reality is subjective. Like, the effort of the 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement 20 years ago wasn't unrealistic. It was merely, it achieved what it could. at that time and space under those circumstances. So we resuscitated that effort, but with a different expectation that people would themselves begin to adopt it as a personal standard. And I think that's what distinguishes it in our case, because we want to certainly encourage people to adopt it for themselves. Try it out. Begin to utilize it as a tool. We give some explanation in the downloads for people to understand a little bit more clearly, and aim for that. So, Ruben, I know here we are. Speaking of time, we've got a little bit of a late start, yet always right on time.
Yeah.
And we're having a couple of glitches here, but we're live and the audio's coming through. We're gonna sort out the glitch. I'm not sure what it is, but
Yeah, this is remember the whole initiative. This is an experiment in consciousness. So having technology interfere with this time shift and this mind shift is part of the process, and I'm sure that those who are going to tune into the broadcast after it's published and it's on the YouTube will also be compassionate with the technological glitches, because they understand that these is also an adaptation for us. We need to learn new skills to make this happen, and it's barely normal that the first time we will have some glitches. So I'm sure that the next episode is going to be much more in the flow of the technological challenges that we have, and we want to really encourage people to share the information, to make it this part of everyday conversations. We are basically to respond to the answer of the chat room. It's happening as we make it happen. So this show and this broadcast is part of making it happen, and trigger this event, this chain reaction. That if it's in 2020 or if it's in 2026, it doesn't matter, because we are putting something in motion that is an idea whose time has come. And that's why it's so important to make it part of the conversation. As important as is to speak about the rights of nature and water and human rights, is important to speak about the calendar. It's part of the shift in consciousness that has not been really addressed by a vast majority of humanity, and that we have now the chance and the tools like YouTube and social media to make to amplify the wave and to amplify the knowledge. We are open also for suggestions or people who want to collaborate and volunteer their time. We're looking for help in many areas, especially the app development. We want to make sure that we can manifest the resources to create more tools, educational tools, for more people to have access to not only to the information but to the application of the information. So it's a practice, it's a daily practice, what we are encouraging people to adopt by adopting this new calendar, and adopting a new habit also of tuning in we are trying to do this every 7 days. So hopefully we invite you for the next Sunday, where we are using this day of the week also, because it's the only time that people are really receptive, because the week is ending and a new one is beginning, and this is really a time for reflection and about the past, the present, and the future. Sundays are really special in that regard. So we are hoping that the next Sunday we have more people interested in in hearing what we have to share, and we will also keep tracking of events on Earth to make sure that we keep one foot in reality and one foot in the new paradigm. We are making this happen as we move forward.
A new reality.
Yeah, new reality.
I don't know if the world that would appear to be the world of reality is actually reality. It's an interesting consideration.
Yeah.
It is a subjective reality. It's a karmic reality, but it's not the only reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a false reality placed over a reality.
It's an overlay. We have to go through all the layers of the reality that we have been presented, especially through the media and through the bombardment of information that we are receiving right now. How to really weigh out true from false, and part of that consciousness is distinguishing true time from false time. So we are coming out of that spell of the old time and creating a new way of doing things and using a new calendar.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, then, I want to give a shout out to our good brother Bilal for blessing us with some incredible music tonight that kind of played in the show this evening. It brought us in. We'll kind of use it as our little outro music as well, and you can find a link to his project in our description. You can also find a link to the download of the PDF wall calendar. You can print out or use on your phone or your iPad device. It's a great, beautiful display of the 13 months, 28-day calendar. It is the current year calendar. There will be new versions of this available in the coming months as we enter this new 13-month year, 13-moon year ahead, which, for those who don't know, the 13-month year in this time-keeping system begins July 26th every year. It's in co-alignment with July 26th. So we invite you to learn more about that calendar and the system and why it begins in July. There's a lot of reasons, a lot of interesting things for this. The day at a time is annually July 25th every year. It's the +1 day. You'll learn more about this when you download the 13-month, 28-day calendar. It's a gift to you, the gift of time. We're happy to give it to you. And we invite you to share that with your loved ones and anybody who you think would be interested in learning about this perspective, this creative perspective. We also, again, invite you to visit change.org, sign the petition. That's going to be super helpful to us. We really appreciate that. We are also really looking forward to seeing our subscriber numbers increase on our YouTube channel. So thank you. So we can do more with this production platform as we continue to grow and build this. We really do call upon people who are aware of this time science generally to go ahead and like our channel. It will be very supportive so we can all celebrate in getting more of this information out there as we make the biosphere noosphere transition in real time. Okay, 28 times 3 as of tomorrow is pretty major. It's a big deal. So we're going to be excited to acknowledge that in our own ways, and we invite you again to look into the history. If you visit 13months28days.info, you'll find some great information under the About section that gets into some greater detail about the Banner of Peace, and certainly about the calendar change and calendar reform efforts that have preceded this. It's not a new idea. It's something that is the continuity of a great idea. So that's where we're at, man. Do you have any last things you want to share out there?
No, I just want to give you again the thanks for taking the initiative to make this happen, and I'm sure that as we move forward, we will get more and more in the flow with technology, and have like a more and more pleasant experience for all our viewers now and in the future.
Totally. Again, shout out to Bilal, Samadi, Sunland B for the Medi music. Elevate.
Yeah.
Here in the background, meditation, beautiful music. Be sure to check it out and support your artists in your community. Time is art. We are all artists, and we're all here to help protect. Thank you to all of you for tuning in tonight to Time Shift, and we will be back with you in 7 days' time to go deeper. So feel free to drop any questions, any questions at info@13months28days.info. Also in our comments section on the YouTube channel. Like and subscribe our channel. We really appreciate your support. One love.
I love.